Hi there, this is Rebecca Harmon coming to you from New Haiti Enterprises and the Haiti Growth Project. And I wanted to welcome each of you today. I have a very special guest with me today. This is Brian Austin. He represents being the founder of a very special group on LinkedIn that I'm sure you guys are going to love to hear more about. He represents the Haiti Economic Development and Viability Group. And there's a lot of really interesting things he and I have already gotten to chat about. And I just felt really impressed to share with you guys today more about what he's doing to help the people of Haiti. Brian, thank you so much for being here today. I appreciate your time. Would you mind just giving us a little introduction and helping us understand more about all the neat things that you've been doing for the cause of Haiti?
Well, first, thank you, Rebecca. Thank you so much for all that you and James and others like you are doing for Haiti, for the beautiful nation of Haiti. I've had the opportunity some years ago to connect to Haiti, and it was really almost more like a spiritual kind of connection. I've always worked in community, mostly in the United States, with a variety of issues. Many of them man-made. Whether it be poverty or violence because of drug activity in the inner city, or lawlessness or joblessness, you name it. I've had opportunity to try to remedy those kinds of things. And I felt some years back the desire or the urge to connect to a community internationally. And I had no idea what community to connect to. And I was prompted in my heart just to go online on the web and just do a search, just what's out there for humanitarian work, and because you can only of opportunities out there, and how would I choose? Well, the interesting thing is when I did my searches several times, and I felt prompted in my heart, focused on Haiti. And then I connected with at least two organizations that were doing humanitarian assistance work in Haiti. And I had all of these questions that came to mind that I wanted to ask them, primarily because I wasn't interested just in an agency that was doing some type of handout. I wasn't interested in that. I was interested in a company or an organization empowering the Haitian people. So I had a list of questions I'm asking them because I really want to vet them and understand their purpose.
Right.
And it was one or two of them that was just right on with answering my questions. And I was asking questions left and right, all email, all online. And this one person was getting back to me the same within the hour, 24 hours, everything I was getting back. Long, involved responses to my questions.
That's great.
And then I connected with them because I felt the genuineness of what they were doing. I also felt that they were empowering the Haitian people. They weren't looking down upon the Haitian people.
Exactly.
And with that, I began to say, okay, maybe I can join an effort with them. And they invited me to come with them after the hurricanes in 2008 to bring some medical supplies to their hospital in Fontainebleau. And I agreed to do that. And it took me about a year, almost a year of conversation and dialogue with them before that event took place.
Wow.
And within that year, I moved from Massachusetts to Hawaii. And would you not know, I did not know where they were located at the time, this agency, because it's all online.
Mm-hmm.
When I flew to Miami to join them to go to Haiti, it was when I learned that they were located in Massachusetts, right along where I was all along.
Oh my goodness. Wow.
I
That's
could have
funny.
literally driven 20 minutes to a half hour and had these conversations in person, but I had no clue.
Mind blowing, right?
Mind blowing. But it was that first occasion. And when we were literally flying in from Miami into Haiti, I felt the nudging in my own spirit that felt like I would be tied, I would be connected, I would be wrapped with the people of Haiti for the rest of my life. And
It
I
is
felt that
amazing.
before the plane hit the ground. So
Oh,
that's the intro to my connection.
oh, how nice. That's beautiful. Sounds like you had a great start. You were just led to the right people, the right group to get that introduction to the Haitian people and that beautiful, amazing culture there.
That's so correct. And when I was there, I had a chance to travel around a bit with the group. We went to the countryside. They were located in the mountain region. We were able to go to um, Mother Teresa's orphanage there in Port-au-Prince.
Oh, great.
We were able to visit a variety of places and see a connection and see how people were living and introduce and see what people needed
Yeah.
for their own well-being. I met entrepreneurs there who were selling honey. I met people in the marketplace. Um, it was really an opportunity for me in my own spirit to say, okay, well, what is this? What will I be doing? I was able to see the medicines that I had brought in going out the next day from the pharmacy at the hospital. I
Oh,
was able to see the long lines of people waiting to see the nurses and the doctors. I was able to see the Haitian doctor, the Haitian nurses, and to see that this organization was really doing what they said, that
right.
they were there to empower the people and to help the Haitian people do what they need to do for themselves.
I'm sure that had an enormous impact on your heart and just being able to see all that firsthand. Wow.
It really did. It really did. And it helped me to see, and over time to see, the characteristics that are so important that I see in the lives and in the characters of the Haitian people.
Absolutely.
Um, you know, the ability to get up again, the ability, the willingness to last and to stand, um, the stick-to-itness that it takes, the courage that it takes. Um, there's so many qualities that when you look into the history of the story, when you look into the tragedies that the Haitian people have endured and sprouted up in the midst of, I believe strongly that we are in the midst of a time, even in our world, where Haiti leads the way, where the values and characteristics that they bring to the table are
Yes.
the values and characteristics that the world, from the biggest country to the smallest, that we need more and more today and tomorrow in
Right.
order to forge our future.
There's so much strength there. A
Um,
sense of leadership and determination and just absolute resilience to endure. A lot of people would take great heed to follow their example. I mean,
yeah, I agree. I agree. And
I'm
so the
always
organization that we actually started was when I came back, I had a chance to present. I was connected a lot with the American Psychological Association at the time,
neat.
and so it was through presentations at the conferences that were nationally and regionally there that we connected with others that wanted to support the humanitarian efforts in Haiti. And so we actually looked at Haiti along with Hawaii as a paradigm. We began to look at how can one place, as different as they may appear, in some ways be similar and supportive of one another.
Nice idea.
And for Hawaii, it's also, although it's a state of the US now, originally it was a chain of independent islands that
Right.
were really connected by the rulership of brothers that were ruling the different islands. And Hawaii has a huge population that's rural.
Hmm.
Hawaii is far from being sustainable in our agriculture, energy, and many, many other areas.
Right.
And so I began a company on island that focuses on creating thriving communities, sustainable thriving communities.
Hmm.
And so the projects we began looking at in Hawaii, we were looking at parallel projects in Haiti and vice versa.
Nice
So we
idea.
now have over 500 people in the group, many of them focusing on Haiti, but many of them also focusing on communities around the world.
That's a great idea. I'm sure it's allowed you to have more of an open view on what will work and be able to handle the long term so that these groups and people are able to sustain themselves and be able to repeat the process so that they can teach the younger generation how to be able to keep the island sustained.
That's correct. It's very much an intergenerational effort.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing I've
Very
learned
important.
is depending on the community, we have to look at which generation will lead.
Yes.
And that may sound kind of weird, but it's really true
Yeah, it
that
is.
depending on where you are in the world and the country, and the time, that
Mm-hmm.
just like there's a timing, just like you can have a great idea, but if it's the wrong timing,
Right.
or just like there's a timing
Yep.
for things to take place, there's also a people, meaning within that community, there is a generation, there's a cohort, there's a group, there's a people that at that time are empowered to move that community forward.
Right.
And so, what I see on an economic level in particular is empowering young people in Haiti is a critical element to
Yes.
helping to instill hope, to helping to solidify and encourage dreams,
Yes.
and also to build for the future, and for that cohort, that generation, to see their role and their value.
Mm-hmm. I love it. It's absolutely beautiful. And in order for us to reach the younger generation and equip them with what they need, not just for their own survival, but to be able to build that sense of devotion and dedication to the country in which they live, the island in which they live, they need to grasp certain leadership skills. And sometimes they aren't sure where to start. They don't know where to look. And by having this opportunity to be trained on these things and guided so carefully to know what is, a priority and what is something that can wait till later, what is a priority as far as a connection or a collaboration or a networking opportunity. These are the things I'm sure you guys are trying to help teach them as well, so that it's a family unit almost that they're being trained to be a part of. That's going to help that sustainability last.
I agree with you. One of the things that I see that's consistently needed across the generation is character building.
Yes.
Um, that whatever one does, one wants to offer it in a way that others can mirror and do the same thing and do similarly.
Yes.
And particularly with the younger generation, then it's something hands-on. It's something that they can do, that they can bring to the table, they can accomplish. These days, when we look at that, the big area is entrepreneurship.
Right.
The big area is technology. It's education, but it's particular things within that realm that you're equipping the young people to be able to do, and to do as a group, to do as collaborators with others,
Right.
to produce as a cohort rather than as a single person, struggling to do something. So
Absolutely.
it's partnership, collaboration, technology, but offering those kinds of experiences in education from people who can model behavior that has integrity, that
Yeah.
has consistency, that has respect for human value, human dignity, peace,
Yeah.
things like that, that are qualities that are needed for a thriving community to continue.
Sure. Absolutely. You're speaking my language. I'm I'm a coach for junior entrepreneurs, so I hear you. It's very near and dear to my heart. I'm very glad to hear that there are more opportunities out there where people are, I guess, rallying behind the concepts of being able to teach in an intergenerational way, being able to build up and empower the youth of today to be what they need to be to sustain their own community, to sustain their own lives, and to offer an opportunity to work together with others their age, both older and younger, to continue to keep that intergenerational network developing that's going to keep the island, the country, sustainable for years to come, for generations to come. Because ultimately, that's what needs to happen. We all know. So this is so exciting. This is great. Please share more. I'd love to hear what else you guys have been doing.
The latest project that we have on the table and that we've started working with entrepreneurs around is a project to rebrand Haiti. And it's called Haiti Maverick. And the concept is to look at what are the values within Haitian history and culture that we should be encouraging, bringing to the surface, helping people to kind of realize and mix those qualities and characteristics into their life, into their business, into their community dealings, but also qualities that can be held up for the world to see as qualities that are important and necessary. And some of those qualities I hinted at earlier: resiliency, courage, the ability to stick with it,
Right.
the ability to keep coming and keep going in the midst of struggle and challenge. The other side to that is Haiti is in the Western Hemisphere. What would be a concept from the West that could connect to Haiti? And we came up with the idea of Maverick. Maverick in the Western ideal is someone who is persistent, who has their own way of doing things that are unique and creative and innovative, who is resilient, who won't step back and just fade away, but will keep insisting on their own individuality and what they bring to the table as being important and necessary.
Right.
And so we took these concepts and we kind of bring them together. And we began to share this in the group with different ones. We now have 3 entrepreneurs. 2 have already developed logos and images for the shirts.
Oh,
1 has already developed a complete line of t-shirts. I mean, this has happened. He did it within 3 weeks. We are now looking at, 1 is building an e-commerce site.
good.
We have an affiliate in Africa that is willing to connect and sell the t-shirts in Africa already.
Well, that's wonderful.
So we have begun building this concept. We have 2 schools that are looking at maybe we could do fundraisers with their kids so that their kids could have the t-shirts and those envelopes. We have another person at the university that's looking at helping us to do a dialogue with the students and teachers around the Haitian culture, around the characteristics and traits that
Good.
are represented by the logo itself. So we're
Good.
coming at it from a wide myriad angle
Yes.
so that it's almost like soil that we're digging up and regenerating and saying to the youth, to the people, and to those outside of Haiti, here is truly the soil of Haiti. Plant in this soil and let these characteristics that are part of the Haitian culture and history, let those spring forward in what we do with one another with Haiti.
I love it. That's very cool. Now, you're familiar a little bit with the Haiti Growth Project that I am a part of, that group that I started with James Toussaint from New Haiti Enterprises. And one of the things that we had learned through our connections with other individuals like yourself is that there are many people out there that they sincerely desire to help the Haitian people. They want to be reconnected to their kin. Maybe they lived in Haiti before and they are now living outside. Maybe they're in the States, maybe they're in Canada, some are in Europe. I've talked to people from all over the world, and their love for Haiti never dies. Their heart is always in Haiti. No matter where they live, Haiti is still their home. And I just love that. But I'm sure that they would love to hear about this amazing initiative that you guys are doing. And it's nice to meet other people that are trying to do something similar to what we're doing here with New Haiti Enterprises and Haiti Growth Project, because it's all about trying to connect both the young and the old together and being able to empower the people of Haiti and give them the tools they need, the encouragement they need, and the opportunity they need to understand that these traditions and values will always be with them. And they just need to grasp a hold of it and work together to re-establish that beauty and bring Haiti back to its former glory. And that's what we are so sincerely trying to do. And I love being able to come together with people like yourself and see the unique things that your Haiti Economic Development and Viability Group is trying to do. I'm curious if you would be willing to share. Do you have many people in that group who have already been to Haiti or experienced Haiti for themselves?
Yeah, a good portion of the group are Haitians that are in the group. A
Mm-hmm.
good portion of the group are NGOs and people who are either founders of or representatives of NGOs that have done and are doing projects in Haiti.
That's great.
Typically, a lot of them were and came aboard, during various crises, during the hurricanes, during the 2010, during the earthquake in 2010, during these kinds of challenges that really came to the nation.
Mm,
And that's when enrollment really picked up. And for a number of years, what we did was we would connect to these organizations and get reports from them. And really the goal was trying to support their efforts. Some of the groups that were there, they were there to work with families, to keep young kids safe from sexual predators. Some were there dealing with folks who had been raped. Some were there dealing with infrastructure issues for clean water. Some
right.
are there now dealing with infrastructure issues for sustainable energy sources,
All
for
true.
agriculture, for e-commerce with coffee and other things that are growing in Haiti.
Yes.
So such a wide range of things. In fact, the concept that we put together, we have a name for it. It's called the Humanitarian Sustainability Initiative. And
Mm,
it's part of my profile on LinkedIn. And it's really a constellation of areas that we feel are significant for a thriving, healthy, sustainable community. And so anywhere we go, in whatever community we look at, whether it's a city or a state or a country or an island nation, we're able in some ways to take this platform, this assessment tool, and say, what of these areas can we support and
right.
how can we do that?
That's great. Have you had anyone respond positively that had some new perspectives on what can be done to really get things going in Haiti economically? Some opportunity to create real change?
Well, one of the things, and I'm suggesting it now, I'm putting it on the table, and I've suggested it to a business person there in Haiti.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's more of a model that's being done on the continent of Africa.
Cool.
Um, it's not, it's meaning it's an approach.
Right.
So much of what we see that has happened in Haiti tends to be incremental.
Mm-hmm.
It tends to come in the moment of a crisis.
Right.
Um, I think and I know I certainly am aware that although crisis presents an opportunity, it also can be um, the most challenging time to try to change people or, to really bring about lasting change.
Right.
Uh,
True.
it's weird. It's almost like it presents the opportunity, but when people are in survival mode, it's almost like the brain and the thinking apparatus that we have, doesn't function very well with creativity and innovation when we're in survival mode. And
But
and so like it's like putting these two things together. It's like, okay, the opportunity comes because of the earthquake or the hurricane,
yeah.
and everybody has money. What should we do? But literally the ability for the people that are underneath the weight of the problem to think creatively, communally, on and on of what it takes, you know what I mean, to
Yeah.
inspire something new and different. It's like they're in survival mode. It's like, it's opposite. It's almost opposite. So
Sure.
part of what we're looking at and what we've seen in Africa is partnership with larger nations that will come in and do larger efforts.
Hmm.
Um, when there's no war, when there's no hurricane,
Right.
when there's no earthquake. And so I just recently sent an example to one of the folks that I'm talking with in Haiti, and um, it's one of the countries in Africa that partnered with China, and China came in and did a rebuild literally within months, built an entire almost city for them,
Oh, wow.
of housing. I mean, they had the people
That's
to do it,
neat.
they had the structure to do it, and they built. I mean, you just see miles and miles of housing. They built it, and just like that. And so one of the concepts is, instead of, you have all these incremental NGOs that come in, and
Mhm.
they're all different. They're run by different people, different organizations. And it's hard for people to partner, to trust one another, to know one another. And so people are climbing over one another. You know what I mean? It's really difficult. That's a model that happens a lot, especially during a catastrophe. So one of these concepts that I'm at least bringing to the table is, let's partner Haiti with specific nations, and let's see if the will, the desire, and the interest is there to make sizable, significant change and investment.
Right.
And so just before COVID had hit, we had begun a dialogue with Haiti and Singapore,
Interesting.
and was really exploring those issues, and they're not off the table. But there was interest on Haitian part, there was interest on Singaporean part to connect.
That's
But
great.
now we're taking another notch,
Hmm.
and we're introducing the idea of China, and partly introducing that because we've had some political changes in the United States,
Hmm.
and the Biden administration may be more open to that connection than maybe a Trump
Possible.
administration.
That's
And so
possible.
we're exploring that. We're exploring that. Because an organization, a country like China, if they were to partner with Haiti, um, they could build housing for thousands of people in no time,
Mhm.
and
It'd be
make
a
certain
beautiful
industries
thing.
like that happen overnight, practically,
Mm,
um, which could move the nation in a way that it hasn't been moved in many, many years.
that's true. No, I can see the potential for that. Absolutely. That'll be interesting. I'll look forward to hearing more updates on the particulars, both with whatever works out, possibly with Singapore and with China, but just in general, the work that's being done within your community there, with the LinkedIn group, and with your own company. It sounds like the work you do with the testing out of the small group sustainability there in Hawaii, prepping it for the Haitian communities. I love that concept as well. That's just wonderful. And I think having all the big thinkers, having the people with power and the ability to invest, and the eagerness to put their lives on hold temporarily to help those that are desperately in need. Because, as you know, I mean, it just passed the 10-year mark since that earthquake in Haiti just recently, a few days ago, and just to even understand and comprehend that it has been 10 years past that earthquake, and there is still so much devastation and hunger, and just they need so many things, but yet they are willing. They know what they need. They know they need to get the work done, but they may not have the right resources or the right supplies or the right tools, or maybe just lacking in some training in certain areas. They may have people on one side of the island that are capable of it, but people on the other side of the island that are not, and they just need ways to communicate with each other, but roads are out or bridges are out. And just the simplest things sometimes can cause so much difficulty in accomplishing what needs to have been done years ago, and is still in limbo, and they're still hopeful and waiting for that to come about and to come to pass. So I love that there's new thoughts and new ideas on the table now, from companies like yours and in this group. So I highly recommend people keep an ear out for the things that you guys are doing. Tell me this: what can we share on your behalf? Is there just reach out to your group there on LinkedIn? Is that something they're allowed to do if they have interest?
Certainly, certainly they can. And what I would love to be able to share with you is once we have it up, we're really encouraging the different entrepreneurs, especially those who want to sell the products and sell their own products using the brand.
Hmm.
Part of what we're going to do is share their e-commerce site, share their website, whatever their operation is. And we're encouraging some are in tourist areas in Haiti, and so they're on the ground there selling. Others want to sell online so that they can get people buying from wherever they are.
Right.
Um, but having someone like yourself and others that we can then, hey, here's the link to one of these entrepreneurs. And if there are a way for you to either put that on your website or to share that with your group, because our goal is to create entrepreneurship in Haiti. Our goal is to help these dreams of these individuals come true, and they're building it upon the beauty, um, um, the resiliency, the culture, the history of their own native country.
Yes.
Um, so for us, it's mirroring that positive message that we want to mirror about Haiti around the world.
Very
For
nice.
them, they're in the soil of that, planting and growing their own business, their own industry that they can have for Haitians and for others. So it's a win-win across the board.
Yes, I agree with you wholeheartedly. And what more would we just want someone to do for us if the shoe were on the other foot? I mean, we want to be able to collaborate and support each other and be able to know that, hey, it takes 2 seconds to share a link, to leave a comment and help push their algorithm a bit. We all know how that works with the social media and all that. And we want to be able to help more eyes get on the Haitians that are putting their effort out there. They are trying to, empower themselves and make a life for themselves and be able to help their own communities. Um, and just in case those listening or watching don't understand, this can be for any smaller nation. It can be for anyone who is in a community where they've been devastated by such circumstances, such as these hurricanes and earthquakes. I mean, it doesn't just apply necessarily to the Haiti people. I mean, wherever you are, I implore you to please have a heart for Haiti. But obviously, these concepts and these ideas of sharing on behalf of each other and just supporting our own, it doesn't take much. This world, we need more love in the world, more supportive, caring people that are going to just take a moment and be able to, click that share button. What is it going to do to share it to LinkedIn for a moment, or to share it to your Facebook page for a moment, or your Twitter? It's one tweet in thousands, but you know what? That one tweet could have the impact that's going to help a family or an entire community, an entire village on one of these island nations like Haiti or other areas around the world. So if you think about it, next time you see an opportunity, please click the share button. Please click that like button. Please leave a comment. Help support their algorithm, because I think that's what we all need to do more of. And I think a lot more people are going to get the help and support they need when we're helping grow that organic reach for each other. So absolutely, I'm all for that. And I think if you have a family that's trying to grow and sustain themselves and is trying to be an entrepreneur there from within Haiti's tourism district, people don't necessarily realize that they're helping feed their neighbor and their friends, because their neighbor and their friends don't have an opportunity to sell online right now, and they do. And so these people aren't selfish. They're not necessarily keeping this all for themselves. The little bit that they're earning, it is helping to feed a village. You know, they're really always being caring and resourceful. And I've seen it with my own eyes through many families, and even with Haitians that are here in the States, just the resourcefulness and the creativity and their love for art and music and family time. They really do make such an amazing group of people. And I hope that people hear your message today and will respond accordingly and want to support. So thank you so much, Brian. Is there anything else you needed to share with us at this time? I'm certainly looking forward to future updates.
No, I just want to thank you for the opportunity, and that like-minded people like ourselves to connect is itself a privilege. So thank you.
Thank you. On behalf of myself and James Toussaint from New Haiti Enterprises and Haiti Growth Project, we are so glad you were able to join us today. Thank you, friends. This has been Brian Austin from the Haiti Economic Development and Viability Group on LinkedIn. You can reach out to him there. I'm sure he'll be more than happy to share more with you. Thank you. God bless.
Thank you.